Imagine you own a piece of real property. It may be the house that you live in, or maybe it's an investment property, and you've got several kids. And you've owned that property for a really long time. And one of your kids has been somebody who takes care of you for a lot of the last few years. And so you decide what you want to do is you want to transfer that property to that kid, or maybe you want to add that kid to the title on the property. Lots of times that's going to present some problems. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you the types of problems that can present to people. My name is Barbara Pizzolato, and I help people manage the rest of their continued living. And I'm going to explain to you how it is that simply transferring title to real property to one of your kids, rather than the way that we'll teach you how to arrange that, can present problems for you. One of the things that you want to remember when you're considering transferring real property to one or more of your kids is what your tax basis in that property is. In other words, what it is you paid for that property originally. Because if you have the opportunity to hang on to that property until you die, when you die, the basis in that property will be stepped up to the fair market value of that property as of your date of death. So the people who succeed to that property, your children, will be able to sell it the next day, literally without paying any gains tax for the appreciation that occurred from the time that you bought it until the time of your death. That's not something to ignore. So you're really saving them an awful lot of money. So if you have the opportunity to hang on to that property, you want to be able to do that. So really the best way for you to get that property to the people that you wish, if you want to, is you retitle it in your revocable trust. Remember, your revocable trust is controlled by your Social Security number for as long as you're on this side of the grass, even if you're wiggly, right? And then when you die, that basis will be stepped up, and through your revocable trust, you have the opportunity to have that property transferred to the people that you wish in the manner that you wish. But now they've got the opportunity to have saved on capital gains if they choose to sell that property after your death. One of the other things that you want to consider if you're thinking about, for instance, putting your kids, we hear this a lot, putting your kids on the title to your homestead or another piece of property because you want to avoid probate, that terrible, terrible thing, probate. The fact of the matter is, if you put somebody on your deed, that may negatively impact any sort of Medicaid planning that an elder law planner may do. Now, as many of you know, we don't do elder planning. We refer that out to a Medicaid planner, but that can negatively impact your ability to do that. Okay, so you don't necessarily want to do that sort of planning with them. In addition, if they run into some problems in their lives, or they're getting a divorce, or if they have a car accident, what's going on in their lives can negatively impact your ownership on that property. You have to always keep that in mind as well. Through the revocable trust instead, you have full ownership, you have full exemption for your tax burden, you have the ability to get it transferred to them after your death. And of course, through the trust, if it is investment property, you have the opportunity to avoid probate. Finally, you also want to keep in mind that if you wind up putting your child on the title to your real property, now you own that real property with them either as tenants in common or with right of survivorship. You are now co-owners, and you're in a position where you've got to ask them to work with you. If you want that title back, you've got to ask for it. Suddenly, you're asking permission for things on a property that was always yours before. That relationship may change over time. That's something that you need to consider. While things may be perfect today, they may not be perfect in the future. That may not always be the best thing that you had in mind. So there's a lot of complications when people decide that maybe they should put their kid on the deed to a piece of real property. You should contact us. We have the ability to help you determine whether the revocable trust is really the best way for you to approach your ownership of your real property. My name is Barbara Pizzolato, and again, I help people manage the rest of their continued living. Let us help you.